Center was started as a reuse organization to take computer equipment, refurbish it, and get it back into the hands of people, groups, and communities that didn't have it. So what we do with Mike Thompson's event, we both collect electronics for reuse and for recycling, and then we also have refurbished computers, like we do here, computers and monitors, and keyboards and cables, to go to nonprofit organizations here for them to use.
Gotcha.
We, as we get computers in, we sort them and we group them.
Oh, okay.
Because when we first started this, we were putting computers into classrooms with schools really didn't have any computers.
Exactly, yeah.
And what we discovered was students would come into a room, and if the computers were different on the desks, they would imagine that some were better than others.
$50, you can have it too.
What do you think?
Whoa, that's the high rent district on wines right there. Look at that. Wow, somebody went through a lot of work to make that one.
What do you think?
$400 is a lot of money, but probably a good deal.
This purse made out of rubber tires.
Gosh, this one, nobody's been on that one yet.
I thought it was for giant burgers.
How many people have been bidding?
You know, when I went through last time, it had
County donating their wine to their staff, and I want to give a round of applause to I like to do the board members promote our wine, and anytime there's a good cause, they're always here in the front lines and a huge part of our economy, so it's important to have them here. As I was trying to communicate, we still have a silent auction that is open. We'd like to encourage you to bid on a number of good items here. The auction will remain open until Mike finishes his remarks, so you all get a chance. We appreciate you putting a bid on some of these items. We also have a bake sale on that side, so there's some good treats there. Hopefully you guys, I've been kind of cutting back on my end, but I'll probably jump in a cake or two. So brief opening remarks for Mike. I would just like to state that it's always a privilege. This is the second time that I facilitated a little bit of a master ceremonies role, if you will, and it's always been a pleasure and an honor. I've known Mike actually prior to my election 12 years ago when I interned. I don't know if he remembers this. Back in '94, I was working for the President of the Senate, David Roberti, and at that time another classmate of mine, Jennifer Strong, was interning for then Senator Mike Thompson, and that's where I first was acquainted with Mike and his leadership. And I go back that many years in the 90s where I look at some of the mentors to me, and I look at Senator Maddie, I look at Quentin Cobb, I look at even at Ralph Dills, and as a centric leader that stands out in my mind. He's always been a political mentor to me. I've learned a great deal from him. 12 years on the Board of Supervisors, he epitomizes what it means to be a great leader. And the core services to being a leader that I've always tried to learn from him is constituent services and accessibility. And I think you can all agree with me that there is no other leader that we've had in the history since his time in Senate that has provided that continuity for Lake County and accessibility. I've been speaking to people throughout the district, and it's the same story that I hear time and time again. Representatives in Roanoke Park, representatives in Napa and the City Council, American Canyon. He has a love for the people that he represents. He's accessible and he works hard. And when there's emotional issues that sometimes can put a wedge between us. He has the leadership and the skills to bring people together. I've seen it with the gun control issue, and I think we couldn't pick a better leader to spearhead that effort and provide that national leadership. So it's with great pleasure and honor to announce our Congressman and our friend Mike Thompson.
Thank you all very, very much, Tony. Thank you for a nice introduction. I want to just go through and thank some people first and foremost. As Tony said, the wine community in Lake County is absolutely fantastic, and thank you for all of you for being here and pouring some fantastic wine. If it wasn't Lent, I would have tried every one of them. But I know they were good. Thank you to the Interact for being here, for helping out, making sure that many thanks to the 4-H for being here and helping. You guys were great. Thank you. Volunteers who made sure that things went smoothly and that the place was set up and everything looked as good as it does. Thank you very, very much. All the servers who helped serve tonight, you guys were fantastic. Thank you. Steve Wyatt, who collected the e-waste, all of the electronic equipment that was picked up today. He tells me that since we've been doing this e-waste collection, we're at 1,172 pounds of e-waste that we took out of the waste stream. So not only is it out of the waste stream, but it's recycled appropriately. It's not sent to some third world country and burned in open pit, burn pits, and where little kids get sick. It's done correctly, and he's a very generous guy. He makes sure that he donates the recycled and the reconditioned equipment to people who need them. And as I think 1, 2, 3, 4 lucky nonprofits know, he always donates them back. So 4 nonprofits have asked for computers, and they're here tonight, and they'll be able to pick those up. So Steve, thank you very, very much. You're welcome. Thanks to Mary Jane Bowker, who's the best fundraiser in the world. She does all these events. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank John Hopkins, who provides the entertainment every year and the PA system, but he's not here for me to do it. John is in San Diego volunteering his time to mock trial, to helping kids, and it's a very worthwhile program. And Annette, thank you for being here. Tell John that we can barely do it without him, and next year he needs to be here. And once again, for the 23rd year, Art Ablito, he's ill tonight. He wasn't here, but his crew's here. But Art Ablito put together some, as Tom said when we were serving, some pretty good food. Was the food good?
Yeah.
Every year that we've done this, I've always introduced Brad and lauded him for the great work that he does in Lake County. I think most of you know Brad's a little under the weather, and he's doing fine. He's working every day, working more hours than he probably should. But he can't be in big groups of people because he's got some blood issues right now, and he can't afford to get sick. So the doctor told him he can keep working, but he can't be around big groups of people. So I'm sorry he's not here. You might think about next week giving him a call and giving him a bad time about not being here tonight. I especially want to thank the person who If it weren't for her, I couldn't do this work. I have a wife, a partner, a friend who is absolutely phenomenal. She is with me lockstep, 100%, and that's in addition to her own career as a family nurse practitioner. So she takes care of people all week when I'm in Washington, and then takes care of me when I come home on the weekend. But she's absolutely phenomenal, and Jan, thank you very, very much. She does a fantastic job. I want to make one administrative announcement. I don't want anybody to read it in the paper, but the truth is I am fishing the fishing tournament this weekend with my friend and partner, Manny Mendoza. And a lot of people have asked, I guess folks know that we're doing it, a lot of people have asked where we are in the standings as of the first day. And I just want you to know that Manny and I don't pay attention to those standings. Tomorrow is the final day. When the final scores, the final poundage is up on the board, that's when we'll step to the forefront and take our congratulations. Right, Manny? I got to tell you, it was beautiful on that lake today. It was beautiful driving into Lake County last night. It was beautiful waking up in Lake County this morning, and it's beautiful right now in Lake County. We live in a little piece of heaven here. It's an outstanding area. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm glad the rest of the world doesn't know how beautiful it is.
Don't forget tourism.
But I know that we all share that in common. And when you look at that and couple it with what the wine community is doing, it's just really is a phenomenal place. And it's that way because of the people in Lake County. You can have beautiful places, you can have great things, but if you don't have wonderful, thoughtful, appreciative, and supportive people, you really miss the boat. And that's what makes Lake County, that's the combination that makes Lake County so great. So thank you all for everything you do 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's the people that make it work. People said, you know, I'm here tonight, but you don't represent me anymore. And you had to rub it in, didn't you? That was hard. This was, you know, for the first time since I've been in an elected office, 23 years, half the people in Lake County didn't see my name on the ballot. And as you know, I love the job, and I love public service, and I love the area. And it was hard when that commission came out with these new maps. And only half of Lake County was in the congressional district in which I live. And I think everybody knows I had nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, it was very much a hands-off situation. It was a commission. Some of you may have voted for that commission, but that commission of private citizens, non-political commission, drew those lines. And for those of us from the southern half of Lake County down, we live in a new district. We live in the 5th Congressional District. So it's the southern half of Lake, most of Sonoma, all of Napa, Vallejo and Benicia, and the northern half of Contra Costa County. That's a little bit different district than we've ever had before. But I want to assure everyone who is in the other part of Lake County, I want to assure you 2 things. One, you've got a good guy in John Garamendi. He's hardworking. He's hardworking. He's got a great heart. He's got a great soul. He cares very much about the job. He cares very much about the people that he represents. And he cares very much about the issues that are important to Lake County. The second thing I want to assure you is you can't represent half of the county. So, like it or not, I'm going to be working my tail off for all of Lake County as John Garamendi. there was some clapping going on, but the second part of that was John will be doing the same. We'll work together and we'll make sure that Lake County has a strong voice and 2 votes in Congress. So we've got 2 votes now, and that's good for Lake County and for the things that we care about. All right, so the election took place. That's how it's broken down. The election was the easy part. It's the governing that's the hard part. And it's particularly tough right now for all of the reasons that everybody knows. We're still struggling economically across the country. We've got some huge challenges, and those challenges are not going to be over next week or the week after. This is going to be a long haul before we get to where we need to be and get everything straightened out. We need to be vigilant, we need to be smart, we need to be focused, and we need to be balanced. The idea that you can cure everything by, cutting a bunch out of the budget or conversely raising a bunch of taxes on the other end doesn't work. It's got to be a balanced approach. It's got to be a balanced approach that's focused on the people of this country, a balanced approach that's focused on growing the economy so we can create more jobs, get people to work. That'll help us get out of this. And you can't do it with bumper sticker slogans or sound bites. It's got to be thoughtful, and it's going to be a heavy lift. Now, we just had a vote on Thursday before I came out on this Ryan budget. The Ryan budget isn't any of those things that I just mentioned. None. And as a matter of fact, it's not even a starting point document if you want to get real serious about it. It ignores the issues that are important to seniors. It ignores the issues that are important to veterans. As far as tax fairness, if you make $1 million a year, you get a huge tax cut. If you're a middle-class person working for wages, making regular money, you're going to pay about $2,000 a year more. That's not fair. That's not focused on growing the middle class, which we really have to do. And if what the particulars of that budget aren't enough to make you concerned, you ought to see what they do in regard to health care. I don't think it's any secret that some folks in Congress don't like what's been called Obamacare. As a matter of fact, last year we had 37 votes in the House to repeal health care. You want to talk about wasting taxpayer money? 37 votes to repeal it. Didn't happen, was not repealed. Then we went through an election. And a major portion of that election was the health care program, Obamacare. And Obama won the election. Now you'd think there'd be enough of the repealing of Obamacare. Well, Ryan's budget repeals Obamacare. And they claim the savings that comes about because of Obamacare to help balance their budget. So it is absolutely beyond me how anybody could think that that is serious. And that's not the type of work that we need to do. We need to move forward. We need to make sure that seniors get what they bargained for. People paid into Social Security. Now, I know that the term entitlement has been used widely to discourage folks from thinking that we need to do what we've been doing for the last 77 years in regard to Social Security. And the reason that Social Security is called an entitlement is because you paid into it. You're entitled to get it back. And somehow that name has been twisted around, wrapped around the axles to sound like a bad word. Seniors depend on that. Seniors pay for it. Medicare is the same thing. Medicare has been paid for. It's an insurance policy. An insurance policy. It's like veterans benefits. Veterans benefits are an entitlement too. So if you went to war, you got shot up, you got injured, you have an entitlement. It's called your VA benefits. Now, you don't have to be a senior on Social Security or senior on Medicare or a disabled veteran to benefit from these entitlements. Lake County benefits mightily from those 3 programs. Anybody want to take just a wild stab of a guess at how many Social Security dollars come into Lake County every year? $207 million in Social Security. $185 million in Medicare. $37 million in veterans benefits comes into Lake County every year. My math is a little fuzzy, but I think it's about $450 million. If you add those all up, $440 million. Think what happens if you take $440 million out of Lake County, out of the economy. It's a job killer. Doesn't make sense. Seniors and veterans earned it. Seniors and veterans deserve it. And I'm going to fight hard to make sure that we preserve Social Security, and we preserve Medicare, and we preserve veterans benefits. We need to figure out how we grow the economy. We need to make the proper investments. Investments in things such as infrastructure. And there's not a better thing to do right now than to fix the crumbling infrastructure that we face. And there's not anyone in this room or in this county who can't tell me of overpasses, of highways, of roads, of school buildings, of the lack of broadband, all the things that generate jobs and get the economy cooking. And if you make investments in those things, not only does it grow the economy, but it puts people to work and it gets that economy cooking. And those are the things we need to do. And the other place where we need to get real smart is in regard to our investments in energy. Renewable energy is a transitional form of economic growth that's incredibly important right now. You know, we spend $200,000 a minute purchasing power from foreign countries. Many of those, as you know, are not our friends. We need to be developing more right here at home, and renewable energy is the thing that we should be looking at. And you don't have to look any further than up on the mountain ridge right here to understand how that works. About geothermal, the idea that we can balance the budget by taking $800,000 a year out of the county of Lake County's budget, which is what they get in the shared royalties from geothermal, is just ridiculous, because that's the money that we use to do police, that's the money that we use to do road protection, etc. And that needs to stay right here. And if they try to do it again, I'll fight it just as hard as I fought it last time, and make sure, this time with John Garamendi's help, because he's got a very much a vested interest in this, make sure that those $800,000 stay right here in the Lake County coffers. One more thing, and then I'll be quiet. I want to talk about guns for a minute. A number of people have mentioned, Tony mentioned it in his introduction. I think folks know that I've been appointed to be the chair of this task force on gun violence prevention. It's not gun control, gun violence prevention. Came about after Sandy Hook. I think everybody in this room shares the same sorrow that we all have for what happened in Sandy Hook, and for those 20 children that were killed and the 6 adults that were killed and their families in that community. It was absolutely terrible what happened, and that's what sparked this effort to zero down, drill down on gun violence prevention and try and figure out some things that we can do to make our communities safer. Now, it started with Sandy Hook, but the truth of the matter is 33 people a day die as a result of gunshot. And that's not suicides. That's somebody murdering somebody with a firearm. And it is a national epidemic. We need to make sure that we deal with this. There's been a lot in the news about it. 3 or 4 people mentioned to me tonight that they really hope that we can ban assault weapons. The focus has been on the assault weapons, but the truth of the matter is that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's not the votes in Congress to do that. And if you look at the different priorities in regard to gun violence prevention, assault weapon, extending the ban on assault weapons isn't the top priority. The top priority is background checks. And you know, in California sometimes we don't fully appreciate what background checks means, because in California if you buy a gun, you have to have a background check. It doesn't matter if you buy it from a licensed dealer, or if you buy it at a gun show, or you buy it from your next door neighbor. The law is if you buy a gun, you have to have a background check. That's not the case across the country. Matter of fact, 40% of the firearms sold across the country don't go through background checks. Now, you cannot be for preventing people who are criminals and preventing people who are dangerously mentally ill from having a firearm and be against background checks. That's the first line of defense. That's the first place you stop it. So if someone who has a criminal record or someone who's dangerously mentally ill tries to buy a gun and you have a background check and you can stop that from happening, and you do. I think there was 1.7 million people who were stopped from buying guns in the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. So that's 1.7 million times that the background check program worked. Stop somebody who was a criminal, or stop somebody who was dangerously mentally ill from getting a gun. It's the first line of defense. Will it stop everybody who shouldn't have a gun from getting one? No. There's going to be all kinds of effort to go
Oh,
through
take over a little bit of it. We change seats.
to get a gun. But by God, this is the one thing that we can do. It's the one thing. Now, imagine 40% of people buying guns don't have a background check. It's a lot like after 9/11, had the government said, we're going to set up the TSA and we're going to screen passengers before they get on planes. We're going to screen 60% of them. The other 40% could just go on, and you guys decide who gets screened and who doesn't. You know what would have happened? We would have had more 9/11s. It would have been a tragedy. So you can't just turn your back on 40% of the people. So I'm feeling pretty confident that we're going to get a background check bill when we get back after the Easter work period. I'll be introducing one. It's a bipartisan bill. A number of Republicans who will be joining me in that effort. And that will be the same version of the background check bill that will be introduced in the Senate as part of that Manchin Schumer effort over there. And believe me, it's not going to create any problems for anybody. As I said, we already have it in California, but in other states. Because in California, where we have the strictest gun laws in the world, at least in the country, we sold legally over 600,000 guns last year in California. So it hasn't slowed anything down. There's still a lot of guns being sold. And California has the lowest of all the states. We have the lowest percentage of gun ownership than any other state. There's fewer Californians on a percentage basis who have guns than folks who have guns in other states. Now, the other two areas that we're going to get something for sure will be straw purchases. That's when somebody buys a gun, legally buys a gun, for someone who is prohibited from owning a gun, and then gives them that gun. That's what happened in New York when the firefighters, the guy set fire to his house, and they called in the fire alarm. And when the firefighters came, our public safety folks who put their life on the line every time one of us calls, they show up, and the felon who had just been released from prison, who the straw purchaser bought the gun from, shot him, killed 2 of them, wounded another one. So the straw purchase stuff is we've got to increase the penalty so people that do that really pay the price if they try and get away with that behavior. And then the other thing is the gun trafficking. People who buy guns one place where it's easy to buy and then take them someplace else where it's harder to buy and sell them to people who shouldn't have guns. There's actually corridors around the country that have been named because I think it's called the Iron Highway on the East Coast, because they bring guns up from the south up into New York, and that stuff really has to change. So I feel very confident that we're going to get those three things passed and signed into law, and as a result, I think we're going to be safer. And that's coming from somebody who has been described as a gun guy. And I think most of you know I hunt, I have guns, and I believe strongly in the Second Amendment. Nothing that we're doing infringes on someone's rights under the Second Amendment, and it's not exclusive. You don't have to choose between one and two. You can have a safe community, sensible gun laws, and a strong Second Amendment, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So. Very, very much for being here. I appreciate your support. I value your friendship and your counsel. And I now turn you over to Mary Jane Bowker.
I don't have as big a voice as Mike, but all of you who are associated with nonprofits that need a computer, we have 4 of them here. I have 2 requests. So if there's any other nonprofits that need a computer, you can walk away with them today. Stephen, oh, there you are. Stephen, stand up. See this man right here. If you are a nonprofit that didn't bring a letter and want to bring a letter the next time around. So here's 2 resources. Thompson's campaign, California campaign fundraiser.
Awesome, awesome. So this is a regular event that he does every year?
Yes, it's our 23rd annual.
23rd, isn't that great? And would you say this is along par with the success of the event compared to other years, or better?
It's probably we had about 300 people. I think last year we had about 340 or so.
Okay, good. So it's close enough.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, it looked really full in there. And
usually 300-400.
the bake sale is a great thing, and all the different prizes they had on the silent auction, that was awesome. And I thought that that his speech was very good too. He does seem very concerned for Lake County.
He loves Lake County.
Yes,
Loves it.
that's awesome.
Yes, it's for his campaign committee.
Okay.
But the tickets are $20, so he does these things as a more of a grassroots. We raise money, but
Yeah, the food and wine was well worth the $20.
you got a good deal here.
Yeah, so many good wineries came out too. That was impressive. But definitely a very successful event. We give you congrats. So it's a very good event, not only for Mike Thompson, but for the community and getting the free computers.
When we do events, we try to give back to the community something, and this is one way we do it.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for coming.